Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Friday, February 28th. So, yesterday we saw linebackers off ball. We saw defensive linemen interior. We also saw edge rushers at the combine for the 2025 NFL draft. And we've already talked about some of the defensive line standouts that I thought really made a lot of sense for the Jaguars. Harder to get a real sense of what the Jaguars might be looking for as rotational pass rushers, rotational edge players, because they certainly need that, right? They've got Josh Hines-Allen locked in till probably 2028 at the very earliest. Trayvon Walker is going into the fourth year of his rookie deal. I imagine the Jaguars will pick up his fifth-year option, so he'll be under contract through the 2026 season. I would not be surprised. Really, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars extend him right now. I also wouldn't be surprised if they wait to kind of see how things develop in year 4, year 1 in this new system with Anthony Campanile and company coaching it up. And then maybe prior to year 5, prior to the fifth-year option year that I expect the Jaguars to pick up, maybe you extend him if he has a good year this year, which I expect him to. I mean, he is an absolute freak show, a guy that I think is coming into his own, is a very good run defender, is a developing pass rusher, high-impact pass rusher in spurts, right? He's not that consistent force that's racking up pressures and constantly getting into the backfield, but he is someone who when he wins pretty big, and he picks up a lot of sacks. So Trayvon Walker, I expect the Jaguars brass to be in on. I know that they're in on Josh Hines-Allen. Obviously, they are. They've talked about it a lot. I know that they're a huge fan of him, his leadership, his game on the field. I think they're also going to be in on Trayvon Walker. But you need more than that. This is a league where you see the Eagles, and they have waves of pass rush. You see these teams that really affect the quarterback consistently, waves of pass rush. So that's why we're looking at some edge players. And I don't think the Jaguars are going to be considering edge in the first round. I would honestly be pretty surprised if they're considering it in the second round. But we're still going to talk about the standouts because you never know. I don't know how this football team is going to operate necessarily moving forward. So a lot of guys don't work out. Abdul Carter, who's probably going to be the top edge off the board, didn't see him. Didn't see Michael Williams. Jalen Walker, I'm not sure if he's listed as a linebacker. Maybe he's going to... Yeah, I didn't see him either. Unless I just missed Walker. Let's see. Yeah. No Jalen Walker. So a lot of the guys that are viewed at the top didn't really participate. I think the highest rated prospect among edges that did participate, who cemented himself as at least a top 15 pick, if not a top 10 pick, is Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Will he be a Jaguar? That would surprise me. They would have to take him at 5 or trade down. I just don't see that happening. But the guy is an absolute freak. 6'5", 267 pounds, plays bigger than that. A lot of these guys came in light to run and just test better and look more fluid. 34 and an 8's arms, that's great. 4.59 40-yard dash at that size, crazy. 1.58 10 split, 40-inch vert, 10-11 broad. I mean, this guy's explosive as they come. Shamar Stewart, no big surprises from Miami, Florida. Now, a couple other guys that, realistically, the Jaguars probably don't have a chance at James Pierce Jr. because there is scuttlebutt about him not really interviewing all that well, him being a me guy, him having off the field issues. But I don't know how a guy like that falls out of the first round because his tape is excellent. He is a dynamic pass rusher. And I think he's a better run defender than given credit for. At 245 pounds, I think he can play in the 250s for sure. 6'5", 32 3/4 arms, 245 pounds, 10-inch hands, 4.47 40-yard dash, 1.56 10 split, 10-3 broad, 31 vert. I mean, those aren't crazy numbers. Those are pretty average. But that 40 it shows up in a big way on tape, and he's a dynamic pass rusher, as I mentioned. His ability to threaten the outside arc just puts offensive linemen on edge, and then he's able to cross your face with ease and get into the quarterback's lap. He's a really good pass rusher, and again, I think he can be a 3-down player. Not going to be as impactful a run defender as he is a pass rusher, but I think he's a starter. I think he's a dynamic football player. Now, again, the question is, how do you view the person? And the Jaguars, talking about bringing in draft picks and free agents, they really highly value character. They really highly value what you're bringing. They call it the ecosystem, but essentially the culture of this football team. What are you bringing to the culture? Are you going to uplift everyone? Or are you going to be someone that kind of makes things difficult? And I don't think they're looking for all choir boys, but they're looking for guys that are passionate about football, passionate about being the best they can be. If James Pierce Jr. fits that model and he falls out of the first round, maybe they would take him, right? Maybe they would if he's available. Another player who maybe you could consider in the second round, if you're really just dead set on saying, hey, this defensive front, we're going to get it popping. And I've talked about it. I think that there's a number of edge rushers in free agency that make a lot of sense for the Jaguars as well. So my best guess at how they will attack this is sign an edge in free agency as a rotational player, good rotational player, and then also draft at some point. Could be the third round, could be the fourth round, fifth round, at least one more edge to really kind of fill out that room and make yourself feel really good about your depth going in to 2025 and beyond. I think that's kind of how it's going to play out. That's my best guess, right? Some guys that stood out that I think make more sense in that range. David Walker, a small school kid who really unique profile out of Central Arkansas. And I thought he had a good week at the Senior Bowl and he's really productive. He's only 6'1", but he's 263 pounds. That dynamic is not something you usually see. You usually see 6'1" rusher. You're talking about like 250 pounds maybe, right? Because he's short, but he's got a lot of good mass on his frame. He is a strong, powerful guy. He's also pretty explosive. 4.69, 40-yard dash, 1.65, 10 split. Vertical jump of 35. This is a unique prospect that I think if you're talking about day 3, I think he has a chance to make it as a good rotational player. I think the way he plays the game will certainly be enticing. He's a full effort sort of guy, high motor sort of guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple guys who maybe probably second round that probably the Jaguars won't go get, but they could surprise us, right? They could surprise us. Princely Umanmielen. He came in light. He came in a lot lighter than he played this year. 6'4", 244 pounds, 33 7/8" arms. Great length for his size. 4.72, 40-yard dash, 1.62, 10 split, 38-inch vert, 10.6 broad. He is explosive. He's really leggy as well, but incredibly explosive player who has a bag of pass rush moves, can set the edge against the run as well. You know, if for some reason he doesn't go in the second round, I certainly could see the Jaguars targeting him in the third round. I think all things being equal, they would probably value him at 36. But again, is that the direction you feel like you need to go to build the best roster that you possibly can to go edge at 36? Probably not, as we mentioned. Another guy who could fall to 36 is Nick Scorton, and he came in light as well. He didn't run, but he looked really explosive and impressive in the on-field work, the drills, right? The wave drill, all that stuff. I loved what he did out there. I really did. And so I think he's somebody who's going to be a dynamic pass rusher for whoever gets him. Tyler Barron, who can be a pass rush specialist, maybe day 2, maybe late day 2. To me, he's on tape a little bit limited, but very productive. Um, but he has a lot of the traits you're looking for to be at worst a pass rush specialist for you at 6'5", 258 pounds, 33 and an eighth arms, 10-inch hands, 4.62 40-yard dash, 1.6 110 split, 35 and a half inch vert, 10-1 broad. I mean, he was impressive. I don't think he's the bendiest, most fluid guy, but I think he has enough of that. I would really want to see him play with a lot more speed to power at the NFL level. But yeah, I think he could be a candidate for the Jaguars, like at 88 maybe, or in the fourth round to potentially be a rotational rusher. I definitely think he could be a candidate for that. One guy I'm really interested in, two guys, both from Virginia Tech. One is an interior defensive lineman, one is an edge. So we know the Rams last year did the double dip at Florida State, first and second round. Traded up for Braden Fisk in the second round after drafting Jared Verse in the first round, which was awesome. Like, kudos to the whole Rams staff for being able to pull that off and get both those guys there. They're both awesome football players, awesome people. These are not the same level of prospects as those two guys, but I could see it, maybe. And I don't think you're going to go into every year and say the Jags are going to get two people from the same defensive line every single year. But hey, maybe they could do it 2 years in a row, and it wouldn't cost nearly as much to do it with this pair. It's Antoine Powell-Ryland and Aeneas Peebles. I identified yesterday Aeneas Peebles as an interior defensive lineman that the Jaguars could value as an interior penetrator, and you can probably get him on day 3. I think he's a really impressive penetration style defensive lineman. His teammate, Antoine Powell-Ryland, I also think is a really impressive rotational pass rusher. Now, not the biggest dude, but the Rams in the past have shown they don't have to be the biggest. 6'3", 258, so he's got size, like, in terms of strength, and he's not like rail thin, right? But he only has 31 and a quarter arms. Not a big deal in my opinion with this regime. 4.69 40-yard dash, 1.64 10 split, 36 and a half inch vert, 10-4 broad. He is very athletic, and he, like Peebles, has a bag of pass rush moves. And he can beat you on the outside arc, cross your face, hit you with an inside spin. He can do a lot for you. And I think if you're talking about getting two guys that can help you get off the field on third down as rotational rushers, you want to bring them in together, both on day 3, Antoine Powell-Ryland, Aeneas Peebles. That could be a real fun draft, especially, doing that on day 3 after you've added a lot of talent elsewhere. And maybe one of those guys could sneak into the third round. If I had to guess, it would probably be Peebles. But I wouldn't be mad at Peebles at 88 and then Powell-Ryland on day 3. Get both of those guys in here. I think that could be a lot of fun. That's it, though, for the edge rushers. We've got, obviously, the linebackers went as well yesterday. I don't expect the Jaguars to be highly in on linebackers. They did meet with Chris Paul Jr. at the Shrine Bowl, and he had an okay day. Didn't blow it out of the water. 4.63 40-yard dash, which is, it's funny that that's like not viewed as very fast now. But 36-inch vert is good. 9.9 broad. I mean, I like him. I like him a lot. But again, I'm hoping the Jaguars aren't targeting a linebacker, off-ball linebacker, until day 3 at the earliest. That'll do it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.